Please go ahead and get us started.
Hello, everyone. On behalf of the Afrikan Restoration Project, I want to welcome you to our annual Juneteenth event today, where we will celebrate our ancestors who endured so we could be here today to commemorate and clarify the history behind Juneteenth on this 161st anniversary. My name is Shujaa, and I'm the co-director here and the lead programmer on the work we'll be sharing today. I work along with my brother, Shujaa Baker, who will be sharing our main message tonight. We work together with our sister, Tiffany Rashan, lead developer at Imagery Children's Literacy Academy, our children's literacy consultant and partner in the work we will be sharing. Minister Bill Johnson with the Wose community of the Sacred African Way will be doing our libation.
Greetings. Before I introduce Brother Shujaa and get into our program, I think it's appropriate to begin with a libation to our ancestors, who are the primary subject of tonight's presentation. We want to begin by paying homage to those who gave us life, Ashe. We want to pay homage to those who suffered without surrendering through enslavement so we could be here today to continue their struggle to create a good world. Ashe. We want to pay homage to those who worked hard to recover after emancipation, to rebuild their lives and do the best they could with what they had so we could be here to do the same. Ashe.
Ashe.
We pay homage, too, to our children who are yet unborn unto countless generations, that they may continue to inspire us to be our best selves and to create a world worthy of their inheritance. Ashe. The act of saying libation is an active invitation for those ancestors within the sound of our voices to join us and to be among us today as we share news of this work that we're doing in their honor. Ashe. With that, our lead and founder of the Afrikan Restoration Project, Shujaa Baker.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for that introduction, Bill. Thank you for kicking us off, Akir. The title of my presentation is Juneteenth, STEM, and Principal Practice, where I'm going to be sharing some of the work we're doing here at the Afrikan Restoration Project to elevate Blackness and everything else. Today, I'll focus on our work related to Juneteenth, and will show how it fits into our latest program for elevating Blackness more broadly. As I mentioned, we have three primary goals at the Afrikan Restoration Project. The first is to promote the best of African culture as the ultimate source of solutions for us and the world around us. The second is we focus on reconnecting Black people more broadly with an understanding of ourselves as innovators and masters of STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and the master manufacturing skills that come along with it. And third, we actively promote expanding Black people's long tradition of principal practice by applying the 7 principles beyond Kwanzaa to make them a Black job for all of us every single day. We believe practicing unity, self-determination, collective work and responsibility, cooperative economics, purpose, and creativity, while having faith in ourselves and each other every single day will go a long way to create a new world for us. Don't y'all agree? So those 3 goals summarize our work to elevate Blackness. The motto for the Afrikan Restoration Project. Our motto helps explain our work too. And it is, what you'll do for yourself depends on what you think about yourself. And what you think about yourself depends on what you know about yourself. And what you know about yourself begins with what you call yourself. So we ask the question, who are you? And what does that mean? And we've been around for almost 20 years, and we spent a lot of time asking Black people, what does Blackness mean to you? What does Blackness mean to us? And while asking this question of ourselves, we've gotten many different answers, most that have been informed or influenced by racial stereotypes, be they positive or negative. But we didn't find many Black people who associate Blackness with STEM mastery, for example. But we have a long tradition as masters of science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and manufacturing. In fact, if we understood or went back to the origins of science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and skilled manufacturing, we will find ourselves and people who look like us, because we, Black people, are the originators and first masters of those disciplines. And there is no greater symbol of that than the ancient period, the great pyramids of ancient Kemet, right? As depicted in this image, showing those Black men and women who were involved in the design and construction of those great structures that still stand today, standing the test of time. Mention our long tradition as masters of science and technology, and we find ourselves there when we look back at the beginning. And the work that we're doing here reflects our belief that we need to get back to that. One very common self-understanding among Black people is that we are a spiritual people, right? We often describe ourselves that way, that we are a spiritual people, but that's not all that we are. In fact, when we talk about ancient Kemet, for example, it is often said that their greatest contribution to the modern world was the spiritual or religious teachings that influenced all modern spiritual or religious thought that came out of ancient Kemet. But at the Afrikan Restoration Project, we argue that was not their greatest contribution. We say that ancient Kemet's greatest contribution to the world was its mastery of STEM, along with skilled manufacturing. To us, that explains why the name Kemet evolved to become the foundation of the word chemistry. Think about that. The name itself came to be the etymological foundation of the word chemistry, because that in real terms was in reality was the primary contribution that they made to the forward flow of human history. It was their mastery of those science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and manufacturing disciplines. Their mastery of STEM and manufacturing was at the foundation of who they are, who they understood themselves to be. And we need to get back to that. They expected excellence out of themselves because they were grounded in these disciplines and they understood the significance of that. And I thought I said something in here about the connection between the spiritual traditions and the mastery of the STEM. Because there was a time, during ancient Kemet, in fact, that mastery of spiritual teachings began with mastery of the sciences, right? So that was part of the ascension, in the spiritual mastery realm there in ancient Kemet. And if we ever hope to permanently change our material conditions on Earth, we have to restore our self-understanding as masters of STEM and masters of manufacturing and become that again. We've been outplayed for a long time by other people who have used STEM and manufacturing better than we have. So we have to change that. In fact, that is exactly how and why China completely transformed itself in the past 50 years to become the world's leader in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, applied mathematics, and those disciplines. It's because they saw that in themselves, and then they put the work in to bring it out. And now they've replaced the United States leading the world in those disciplines and in manufacturing. So that's, again, when you want to win, you do what winners do, right? So we have to build on what we know about ourselves and what we think about ourselves and what we expect from ourselves to increase what we will do for ourselves as a result, as our motto says. That is what we mean at the Afrikan Restoration Project when we say we work actively on elevating Blackness. The story of Juneteenth and the way we tell it says a lot about what Black people think about ourselves. So let me get to that then. The ideas behind our work to elevate Blackness through culture, STEM proficiency, and principal practice are documented in my first book titled Building on the Work of Our Elders and Ancestors, Merging STEM with Kawaida to Elevate Blackness and Everything Else. That book was written for readers from young adults to elders. And we knew it was also important, if not more important, to reach young children with this message and with this lesson. So I decided to write a children's series that brings all of these things together. And the title of that series is S.T.E.M. Well, more broadly, S.T.E.M and the 7 Principles, where STEM is a 9-year-old Black boy from Los Angeles with parents who are both STEM professionals, along with a younger sister named Imani, who wants to be an anthropologist. STEM's parents named him STEM so that every time his name is mentioned, he will be reminded that he comes from a great legacy of STEM innovators who want and need him to make a fitting contribution to build on that legacy too. In this story, STEM's family has deep ties to Kwanzaa and the 7 Principles. His grandmother in the story, in fact, inspired a research project that led to Kwanzaa being created when she was a 10-year-old girl. She, her father, and her 2 siblings were all involved in the first Kwanzaa. And that is based on the true story of how Kwanzaa was created. We have the elder woman who was that 10-year-old girl and one of her siblings involved in our work. And they may be even on the call today. And we use this context to link the 7 principles with other Black occasions throughout the year. So we have the first story, S.T.E.M and the 7 Principles, which introduces the series. I got a short video here I want to share with you. The stories that follow are what we refer to as cultural adventures centered around the family home and STEM's classroom. So I'm going to let you all see this short video that introduces the series, and it's not even quite a minute. So I'm going to come back after I share this.
The S.T.E.M series is designed to inspire Black children to become STEM innovators of the present and future. It shows how Black families' cultural awareness and commitment to learning creates Black children and adults we can be proud of. S.T.E.M is a 9-year-old boy with parents who are talented STEM professionals. They want S.T.E.M and his sister, Imani, to follow in their footsteps. The family has special gatherings for every Black holiday, going back to when S.T.E.M's grandmother and her 2 siblings had important roles in the first Kwanzaa celebration. They are very proud of being one of the first families of Kwanzaa. S.T.E.M Adventures explore Black people's history, future, and our role as STEM innovators. The stories promote strong bonds between us, using technology to answer questions and solve problems, and using the 7 principles to guide our daily life. Look out for S.T.E.M books and videos at STEMinem.com.
All right. So that introduces the series.
The S.T.E.M
We have 4 books that are available now. S.T.E.M and the 7 Principles, Juneteenth STEM and the 7 Principles, which I'll be speaking about today in just a little bit. We also have Labor Day, STEM and the 7 Principles. Of course, we got Kwanzaa STEM and the 7 Principles, and we are on the verge of almost done with Black History Month STEM and the 7 Principles. That one will be available soon. We have a companion book that's not part of the series that tells the story of the first Kwanzaa, or the creation of Kwanzaa, from the perspective of the children who were involved in that, called Kwanzaa for Kids. And that one is at a similar state of completion as the Black History Month STEM and the 7 Principles book is. And that one will be available soon. All of these books will be available by this Kwanzaa season. The first 4, again, are available now. And the next 2, and then a 3rd book that we're working on for Black August, those will be available by Kwanzaa this year. So I had mentioned that we refer to the stories as cultural adventures. And the very first cultural adventure that we worked on, or what became the 2nd book in the series, is titled Juneteenth, STEM, and the 7 Principles. In this story, we address and correct the myth associated with Juneteenth, which claims that Black people remained enslaved in Texas for 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation because they didn't know about it. I hear Black people repeating that myth every year, and it makes me both sad and angry. Not only does it show our people don't understand the history involved, it also shows they don't think much about our enslaved ancestors' ability to understand their environment and the conditions that most directly affected their world back then. It is absolutely absurd to believe our ancestors didn't know about emancipation and the conditions of their freedom. They had a variety of communication channels, with many Black people being directly involved in the Civil War that had been raging for years by that time. In this story, we show and explain in a kid-friendly way that the math involved with that claim just ain't math. It simply doesn't add up. We explain that Black people knew about the Emancipation Proclamation, and we explain the real reason why emancipation was denied and why enslavement continued in Texas for more than 2 additional years before the Army arrived, actually on June 18, 1865. And of course, the announcement of emancipation happened a day after that. So what really happened on that day was Texas was reclaimed as Union territory. So we explained that. And we explained that whether our ancestors knew about the Emancipation Proclamation or not had no effect on their continued enslavement. Meaning that what mattered was whether the enslavers received the message about the Emancipation Proclamation. And there's a deeper story to be told about the Emancipation Proclamation too. Most people don't know that it only applied to Confederate states that were in rebellion against the Union, meaning that it was a war tactic designed to further stabilize or destabilize Confederate states at our ancestors' expense, right? What else can I say about that to clarify that? Because we cover that in the book. We explain again that our ancestors had, and that's referenced here in the image, our ancestors had several different ways of exchanging information. They weren't reliant upon the enslavers to tell them things. They communicated amongst themselves. They were aware of the world around them. And again, because they were enslaved, whether they heard the message about the Emancipation Proclamation or not didn't have any effect on whether they were going to be liberated or not. The enslavers needed to get the message, and then they needed to abide by the message. But as has been explained, Texas was the last holdout of the Confederacy. So they were resisting emancipation. And then when you think about it, the order, or the executive order known as the Emancipation Proclamation, came from Abraham Lincoln, who was the president of the Union. So him issuing an order that applied to the Confederate States is him giving an order to their enemy, which explains why they disregarded it, right? And explains why when our ancestors in Confederate states tried to live free based on it, they would be brutalized. It also, since Texas was the last holdout, the states surrounding Texas that had, were still part of the Confederacy, quickly moved as many of our enslaved ancestors as possible into Texas because they were resisting emancipation. So it had nothing, the continued enslavement after the Emancipation Proclamation had nothing to do with whether our ancestors heard the message or not. And it's crystal clear that the enslavers themselves got the message, and we're going to show that in a way in a moment in this demo by demonstrating the technology that was prevalent during this time. So we realized that having a children's book series alone was not enough. It's not enough just to have books. You got to have lessons to go along with the books. You got to be able to engage the parents, the children, the teachers, and have content that really digs deep into the material, and actually exercises the material. So we decided to create an online curriculum with a series of lessons and activities designed to be the core of the soon to be released Elevating Blackness Academy. So that's what we've done. in conjunction with our children's literacy consultant and partner in this, Tiffany Rashan of Imagine Read Children's Literacy Academy. We have, I'm going to share images of this, and then Akira is going to do a live demo. So this is an image of the Elevating Blackness Online Academy. And the S.T.E.M lesson is the core of that academy. We will be adding additional content of our own and from our partner organizations as well. But the S.T.E.M curriculum will be the foundation of the Elevating Blackness Academy. And we currently have 5 lessons that are based on the books in the series. And their title, as shown, Principles in Action, The Innovator's Pitch. That's sort of a summary of several of the books. Cultural Engineering, The First Fruits, I believe that's based on the first book. The Neural Network of Chess, that's based on the Labor Day book. The Galveston Data Check is based on the Juneteenth book and the material that we're presenting today. And the Innovation League is based on the Black History Month book, right? So we'll get a touch of some of those today. The Galveston Data Check is, again, what the Juneteenth story is based on. And this curriculum walks you through the text and the lessons, and there are some interactive components to it. And it's just excellent as far as I'm concerned. And everybody who's seen it has been duly impressed by it. We have within I mentioned this, I'm giving you a preview of it, and Akira will give a live demo of it. We mentioned that we were engaging the current technology of the day in our presentation. So what that means is that in 1865, when these events happen, the technology, the leading technology, communication technology of the day was a product called the telegraph, and they communicated with a series of beats and taps that were coded to represent letters and words, and they were easily and fairly quickly able to transmit important messages. So in the official record of the Civil War, they maintain a record of all of the communications that were sent by telegraph. So it's indisputable that, they didn't get the message, because the message about the Emancipation Proclamation being transmitted is in the official record. So in order to engage that, we have an exercise as part of this curriculum and this lesson, where people actually get to see and learn Morse code, actually get a simulator up there, and actually get to see what a Morse code message announcing the end of enslavement would have looked like there. So it'll be much more exciting once you actually see it and hear it than just looking at the image, but I wanted to introduce it here. And again, as I mentioned, the lesson titled Cultural Engineering, the first fruits, is based on the first book in the series, S.T.E.M and the 7 Principles. The Neural Network of Chess is based on the third book in the series, Labor Day, S.T.E.M and the 7 Principles. In that lesson, that has a interactive chess lesson in it, where the story includes the introduction of an actual full-blown chess video game that Akira developed, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But our lesson includes a chess tutorial where people are taught to play chess. Of course, the idea behind this is that learning to play chess teaches you how to do better in the game of life, right? It teaches you those critical skills, critical thinking skills, being able to anticipate problems and contemplate a range of solutions, thinking skills that apply well in the game of life, right? So that's why that's in there. So we have a chess tutorial, and then we have a 7-day chess challenge that gives you the opportunity to exercise those chess learning skills. And that's right in there for you. The 7-day chess challenge is there. And Akira will talk a little bit more about that. And then this is a screen capture of the actual chess video game that he developed. That is made available. It's available at any time, of course. It's available through ultimatechessleague.com, on the App Store, on Google Play. But we're including that after we, go through the tutorial and the 7-day chess challenge. We're inviting people to engage with that for continuing development. And I must mention that this isn't your regular everyday chess game. It can be, if you want, just the round, pieces and, and that. But if you want to add a little bit more excitement, Akir has coded this so that it's what he refers to as a battle chess game. So when you move your players and you conquer another team's player, your opponent's player, they get into a little bit of a scrap, and there's some real cool graphics that go along with that. And then there are teams that are tied to culture and history. We got some Nubians on there, as part of, you could pick a team of Nubians to, go into the battle with. And most recently, he added a team of brothers and sisters from the hood, right? Who you could go into a chess battle with. And, symbolic of that ability that we have for those critical thinking skills that would have us in the lead, if we applied them, So I'm looking forward to people being able to experience that phenomenal game that our brother was putting together. And he was putting that together as an independent project long before we started working on these things together, So it's just wonderful how it's all come together. The next lesson, the Innovation League, as I mentioned, is based on the Black History Month STEM and the 7 Principles story, which will be available soon. And then the Principles in Action, the Innovators Pitch, is based on a summary of all of the available and soon to be available texts in the series. Another one of the activities that is tied to that particular that series, that lesson, it's a timeline exercise from ancient Kemet to the space age. Meet the elders and ancestors who built our genius. It's a paying homage to some of those elders and ancestors who inspired our mastery of STEM, who reflected our mastery of STEM, and also to elders and ancestors who inspired us to, who inspired self-mastery, right? Through self-determination, self-education, self-leadership, and self-fulfillment, right? So that exercise includes a series of ancestor cards that were fashioned to look like trading cards in a sense, with key details about their lives, their legacy, their birth dates, and place of birth, whether they are representing STEM mastery or self-mastery. We have the Kemetic pyramid builders in this example, representing, of course, STEM mastery. We have Imhotep the Great representing STEM mastery. We have Queen Ya Sante Wa representing self-mastery in that regard. And we have a whole series of these that are represented. And then the timeline challenge is to take those elders and ancestors who have so inspired us, and for the children or adults to place those individuals on the timeline so that we can see the 4,300 year expanse that they represent, in our history and our traditions. So that's in there for the people as well. But not only that, we have space for the lessons that we are going to be sharing, and we also have space for our partner organizations to post and host online lessons. Our position is this, that if an organization or an individual has content that is about elevating Blackness in a meaningful way, especially in the areas of STEM, then we got space to host their content. And we actually are in the process of developing content for this space with several of our partner organizations. And of course, our long-term plan is to develop content for elevating Blackness to cover as many different angles and aspects of STEM that we can cover, and any and every other area or discipline that will contribute to the goal of elevating Blackness. That's our long-term plan for this. So this is an example of what a lesson page looks like This is an example of what the subject area would look like, so that, you know, we can host different areas and keep all of that, different disciplines, different topics, and keep all of that organized. And Akir is going to now give us a live demo of this site. He's going to take us to the website that he has developed, and he's going to walk us through a demo of some of those things. And then afterwards, we're going to have a few words from Tiffany Rashan, who is the designer of the curriculum, to talk about the scope and scale of it and the elements of it and what inspires it. She'll talk a little bit about her program at Imagine Read Children's Academy and talk about the philosophy behind her work that she has applied in the development of our curriculum here. So I stopped my share so that Akir, you can take over from here. Go right ahead.
Thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and start my share now. That's the wrong screen. Let's go ahead and start my share and select the correct one with sound on. All right, cool. Can you all see the website?
Yes.
All right, so this right here is Elevating Blackness Online Academy. This is, I'll just read the introduction here, and then I'll go a little bit deeper than what Brother Shujaa introduced. This is the STEM learning rooted in culture, video lessons, hands-on activities, and quizzes that teach science, technology, and engineering. Science, technology, engineering, and math, STEM, through the lens of African heritage and innovation. This website is designed to cover the 7 principles and also the purpose that we have, and also to be an interactive hands-on experience. So with videos, activities, and quizzes. It's designed in such a way that when the user, whether they're children or adults, can choose how much information they're covering. And for this, I will just quickly go through one lesson and show the structure of how the site is built. So when you go into one of these lessons, we're starting off with 5 modules. And when you start it, everything will begin with either a video lesson or an interactive slideshow presentation. And for this case, there's not a sound that goes along with it, but this is just going to show you what one of the slideshows and all the details that are there look like. You have the ability to full screen it, of course. And then also, you know, pause, fast forward, and then select the playback speed. So maybe you would want to choose to watch this particular video at a slower rate because the slideshow goes kind of fast. That's there as an option. And then beneath it, beneath all of the videos, you have a deeper lesson, which has sectioned off by learning objectives, the books that Brother Shujaa was just talking about. And right here, you can see we have an excerpt of the book and an interactive flip book. So it feels like you swiping through an actual page. So you can actually look at the pages of the books that are referenced in the videos. And then we have multi-part sections for the curriculum. And our sister Tiffany will go into that deeper to actually explain why the particular information that is here was chosen, and understanding how that is useful for the parent or the teacher and the students alike. Underneath the 3 parts that we have here, so it's 3 sections. Underneath that, we have the interactive quiz. So, for example, Brother Shujaa just told us about the Emancipation Proclamation in General Order number 3. So if I were to not be paying attention to him, I would say it's about 2 years. And you'll see right here that I get the question wrong. So you get instant feedback to, let you know what's correct or not. And then also we have, let's do the second question. What early communication technology could send coded messages through the wires in 1860s? And we talked about that in the telegraph. And then you immediately know as well. And beneath that, there's more for us to read. This is the exit ticket. And beneath that is the vocabulary, basically the glossary. And I find this to be very helpful after actually reading through the lesson to remind myself of everything that we've learned. Beneath that is a section for downloads. So this one has fewer downloads. So I'll actually just quickly pop into the next lesson to show the lineage innovation, to show what a full list of downloads look like. And there's the worksheet for the student. There's the activity guide for things you can do hands-on. There's a teacher's guide. There's the teacher's guide. There's a worksheet to work through. In fact, we actually have better worksheets that I haven't added yet. And then also the vocabulary list. One other thing that I would like to show, let me just for a little bit longer. So here's the vocabulary list in addition to being the website. Another thing that I like to show is light mode. And this allows the website to still be accessed in areas where people may not have the greatest Wi-Fi or internet connections. So this makes it more accessible for people all around the world to be able to view our things. Because if you have limited network access, this will allow you to load it quickly without the addition of videos and images, but it still works with the quiz even, so you can still quiz yourself and get that instant feedback about what you learned. The next thing that I will show is the Morse code lesson that Brother Shujaa talked about. I'll switch back off of light mode, and then I will go here to, we have our labs, and I'll go to the Morse code lesson. And this is relevant to the Juneteenth lesson, the module that we have there, and also today. So I'll do a quick showcase of how we have the Morse code generator. We can type in text and get the Morse code out. And not only can you see the Morse code, but you can have it play to you. This is just 6 pulses, but I hope that you'll be able to hear it. So without further ado.
Did you share your screen? Did you share sound when you shared your screen?
Yes, you should be able to hear it now. And if not, I'll just play it again and I'll make that edit. But here's how I would say hi. Just a quick message for you guys to understand or hear.
Yep, I heard it.
Okay, perfect. So we have the just in typing that out, I learned something new. If I do 4 quick taps and 2 more quick taps, I should be able to write the word hi. So let's go ahead and try it here. There you go. See, I learned a little bit of Morse code just with that quick testing myself. Of course, you can add more difficult things here. Like if I were to put my own name, and now it's going to take a little bit more memory, but it's possible. And then I'd be able to tap it out and showcase that right away. And then here we have like the hint.
We have a Morse code chart somewhere too that people could print out if they wanted to. Oh yeah.
Yes. And, the Morse code chart here to teach you all of the alphanumeric characters, and then the punctuation as well. So you could even make this as a quiz for yourself, challenge your kids or anyone really to say, hey, send me a message. They can even write it down or tap it out, and you can quiz yourself to see how that works. Let me clear this up real quick. Sorry, it's what is?
So that's give them an example of that, because that was an example of what they of the message that enslavement had ended was over, just so that they can see that or hear what that would sound like with the dots and the dashes.
Yes, I did kind of spoiler alert it there, but this right here is a message that will show that slavery is ended. And I'm going to play the message. I'm not going to play the full thing just to not mess up the audio feed. But this right here is a message that we can decode. And I also like this as a challenge to look at this and then look at that chart and see if you can figure out the message that's being shared. And when you get that, it just shows you the message that slavery is ended. And it shows that on June 19th, 1865, that's 161 years ago, right? That the message Black communities in Texas have been waiting to hear out loud, that slavery is ended. And then you click that, it takes us to our Juneteenth. Well, this is actually the last year's Juneteenth presentation, and we'll have it updated for the current year and then everything else we have going. And this is the interactive part for that lesson, the Galveston data check. So once you go through and read all the text here, you get to read the excerpt from the book. You can click through and do these activities. This is 15 minutes here, another 15 minutes here, and then the third part that's 10 minutes. So you get a full lesson. And if a person just wants to watch the video or the slideshow, they can. But if they really want to get their hands dirty and really be integrated, or they get to watch, read, hands-on activities, and then also do the interactive labs. Then the next thing that I'll show, and I'll make this quick, is to show the chess lab that we have. So it starts off with an introduction of how to play chess. It goes over the 6 different chess pieces and ends with showing how to do a check and checkmate. But this is just to make it simple. If somebody tells you, or they give you the excuse that they don't know how to play chess, it takes 2 minutes to learn how to play chess. In addition to showing how the pieces move, you'll get a hint if you move the wrong piece. So like there, I thought maybe I'll use my pawn here, but it's telling you the knight on G1, so going to G1 is the one that we're going to move from this position to this one. And just by clicking through these different lessons, you'll learn how to move all the pieces. It starts off with just showing some simple moves. So we go through the pawn, and then if you keep trying to just click at random right there, right, it gives you a hint to say, hey, you're trying to move your king. This is a legal move, but what we want to do is actually do this. After going through the chess lessons that show you how to move all the individual chess pieces, it gets a little bit more difficult and fun, which is with the 7-day chess challenge. Now, this right here is to actually challenge us to not only know how the pieces move, but to start thinking critically and having a strategy for seeing ahead. And in this case, the number one, day one, is to look at the whole board. Oftentimes in chess or even in life, when you're a beginner, you just look at what's around you, and that allows you to miss out on opportunities like here. If I'm looking at my queen right here, if I go all the way across the board, there's an opportunity right there, or something to watch out for. So this is a part of the 7-day chess challenge. It's a list of 35 curated puzzles, 5 challenges, 5 chess puzzles for each day. And it actually, I made sure I went through all of them to make sure that they're good and actually teaching real chess skills. And at the end of it, it allows you to go in and actually use the skills that you've developed here in the game that I've been developing, which Brother Shujaa talked about. It's a battle chess game where we have our chess players, real characters with swords, or humanoid characters that fight against each other. So it's a little bit more exciting than just clicking from one place to the next. But that's something I wanted to share with you all. So thank you for looking at that. If you want me to go over the, I guess you already did the Ancestors lab. But those are some of the labs, that's some of the hands-on things that we're working on. And as we continue to add more content and get more educators on to share their things, the amount of labs that we have will increase as well. So thank you guys for
go to the timeline, because I don't think we showed the whole series on that, did we? Yeah,
I know you scrolled through this part.
Yeah.
And just for the sake of quickly showing it, I'll go through and then show this. Like he said, the design, like playing cards or trading cards. And I think it's really nice, the design that he has here. Because in the beginning, you can just look at them. But then when you have that challenge later on, which I'll scroll down the page, you can see that putting them in order really puts it into perspective of how long our contributions have been around. And like right here, I went ahead and pre-filled some of these. And if, let's say I intentionally put this out of place, so this is out of order right here, and I check my timeline, it'll let me know exactly which ones are out of place. And then we check that, that's a 22-year difference right there from start time. And you then check your timeline, it tells you perfect timeline, 11 out of 11. But when I saw this, it really put it into perspective for me. And also the act of manually dragging things into place let me realize how long this actually is. And even getting to see, you have to think about how before Common Era, you're seeing it's lasted so long, you're seeing the numbers be bigger and then get smaller and then get bigger again. So thank you for your time and being able to show the interactive lessons that we have, in addition to the static ones and our downloadable content.
And thank you for that demo, Akir, and thank you for your outstanding work leading the programming effort for all of this. I wanted to also give our dear sister Tiffany Rashawn the opportunity to talk a little bit about the pedagogy, the philosophy, the educational philosophy behind these elements that she has so masterfully brought together for us here. She led the effort. I can't even say she led. She did the curriculum development for us here. And then Akira and I jumped in with our creative ideas and our creative contribution. But essentially, everything that you're seeing here on this platform kind of evolved from the curriculum that Tiffany developed. So I wanted to pull up that image, Akira, if you would, of one of the lessons with all of the elements that are in it, and just use that as a backdrop for Tiff to talk a little bit to us and the people about this project that she pulled together for us and how it relates to her 20 plus years as a children's literacy consultant, developing supplemental programming or supplemental content for them and all of that good stuff. So Tiffany Rashawn is a educator, a consultant, a children's book author, and a super dope person. You know, we have a long relationship going back 40 plus years. I think of her; she's been my sister since she was 3 years old. So it was an act of love that brought us together, and I think you can see it in the work that's been produced. So I love her. I love her till the wheels fall off, and I'm thrilled to have her here. So if you would, Tiff, tell the people a little bit about this wonderful work that you did for us here.
Greetings, everybody. Thank you all for that wonderful introduction. I really do appreciate you. Happy to be here. We could be anywhere, but we're here on Juneteenth, so give thanks. So first off, I do want to acknowledge that I'm grateful to have been asked to be the lead instructional designer for the S.T.E.M Principal Practice Program. And because of that, I want to begin by acknowledging the team that I'm proud to work alongside. Again, my brother Shujaa Baker, who I've known for more than 4 decades, and my extended brother, the brilliant Akira Rashad. So again, thank you for the opportunity. I really do truly appreciate it. Shujaa briefly introduced me. I've actually owned, it's been, I was thinking the other day, it's moving into 17 years. I started Imagine Read back in 2010. And at that time, I launched my first children's book called It's Watertime Ma. And the book was STEM based. It was designed to encourage water conservation and proper hydration. And that was just actually just noticing there was a need in children's literature. And that is what propelled me into instructional design. I'd already been doing instructional design on a small basis for a couple clients, encouraged me. I'm young, but not to the magnitude once I released It's Watertime Ma. And what subsequently happened was I just happened to be out promoting the books and other culturally responsive books, and was asked to start to design curriculum with a STEM emphasis for the Child Care Council of Greater Houston. And that turned into an opportunity for me to get into the schools as an out of school time educator. And so going into the classroom, I knew that the way we've been taught in this system is not what our children deserve. And so what I did was develop a proprietary framework to support the expansion of their awareness. That was my first and only goal.
Tiff, could I ask you to pause just 1 second? Akir, would you collapse all of those things so that we can see the whole lineup there? Yeah. And then scroll up some so we might be able to see the image too. Or yeah, that's good enough right there. That's good enough right there. Pardon me, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tiff.
No, you're good. And during that time when I was working in the classroom with out of school time engagement, my target was struggling and or reluctant readers, because that's what I would encounter the most. Children who absolutely hated to read. And because that was problematic for me as a voracious reader, as someone who had Black teachers that, yeah, you're going to get this lesson today, growing up in Detroit, and was happy and excited to learn. It was problematic for me to see so many children struggle with foundational literacy development. So again, that informed the proprietary framework that I nestled inside of the S.T.E.M principal practice program. And that framework in and of itself says that in order for us to prepare our children for the future of education and the future of work, they must see themselves as innovators. They must expand on what they already know. And that means that we have to do our due diligence to create truthful foundations for prior knowledge and really, really promote comprehensive critical thinking and oral language. So that's at its core. But we must do that for the whole child. And when we think about the whole child, there is what we do in Imagine is we display that through our wheel of imagination, where we start with mindfulness, so some of the neuroscience, and we move on through physical health and activity, social relationships, personal learning and development, and then community. It's smart as what you do with it. So I could teach you a bunch of stuff, but if I don't give you an opportunity to engage with it in the real world, then what have you truly learned? And so when I was asked to work on the S.T.E.M principal practice program, those were the goals that I wanted to keep in mind, that these are whole children, that they deserve the truth, and that they need to see themselves as innovators. This is remixing Sankofa. I don't think bro, said it, but I am also a musician and producer. So I'm always thinking about how to mix and master everything to perfection. So I drew on some of that ancestral knowledge to also incorporate the highlights that needed to be present. And that's where we started to deliberate on how we could visually and aesthetically represent the program. And this is why it's been an absolute joy to work with Shujaa and Akir, because what you're seeing visually all started just from me thinking about being in the classroom with our children, all of our children, not just those who are struggling and are reluctant, but those who are actively engaged, ready to challenge the future, ready to innovate. And so we met in the middle, and I thought about what they needed, and this is what we're seeing today, the principal practice program. This is just, again, the first 5 modules.
Right.
There is a continuum. As with any culturally responsive programming, there must be a continuum. And I'm excited to work on that, because that is where our children will really, really, really deepen their knowledge and begin to practice intentionally. And they'll be able to innovate, and they'll be able to reshape what we currently know using Black futures literacy. So I could go on and on and on, but I think that probably sums it up. I was super, super excited to work on the program, and I'm pleased to see it turn out like it has. It's brilliance in action.
Yes, indeed it is. Yes, indeed it is. And we owe you a great debt of gratitude for your contribution to that, my beautiful sister. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for that summary. Thank you for the work. Thank you for your wonderful spirit. Thank you for your music. Thank you for your dope style and your dope ways and all of that good stuff that you are. And you hit the nail on the head by saying that this is just the intro. This is the first 5 lessons of a ongoing series. We're going to develop it to be a full series with many different lessons going into it. And I can say this, that what we don't have yet represented in a meaningful way, in a significant way, is the manufacturing component of that. And the next phase of the next set of lessons will absolutely include the manufacturing component. And it might actually include manufacturing of this guy, S.T.E.M. And I might have to turn off change my settings so that he can be seen more closely. But I didn't share this in the presentation, that I did at Caras on Sunday. But I wanted to share that we've also designed and done the prototype manufacturing for a STEM character who is based on our main character, S.T.E.M, in the series. So we got a toy in development to go along with this because, of course, our children like to play, you know, and they like, you know, these characters to go along with their stories and everything. So we want to build that into it. So it may just be that we do a lesson about manufacturing, teaching about 3D printing technology using the STEM character. That might be a good idea. So that's one of the lessons that's forthcoming. So we are pleased to have the opportunity to introduce this work to you all today and to introduce the Elevating Blackness Academy.